Well, I'm glad, you are good, sir, because I don't know, after what I've been seeing this morning, actually these last couple of days, it's a little fucking interesting right now. You know what I'm saying? It's a little fucking interesting right now, especially if you're an observer, you know? If you're an observer, a conscious observer, then, you kind of come from the perspective that things are not what they seem, right? You know what I'm saying? Like everything that you look outside of yourself is kind of like a representation of our internal chaos or our internal belief systems collectively in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? So we're all feeling this, is what Spirit is saying. So it's important not to take things personal, okay? Especially right now, in this time. This is fucking Aries, bro, okay? So literally, if you get pissed off, you can go with it, dude, unless you're a softie and, things like that don't bother you. But the energy almost demands it, bro. It's asking us to be fucking reactive or responsive in one way or another. But it also shows us our impulsivity, right? Our reactions and responses that come from survival spaces or kind of like shitty behavior or, shitty demeanor where, the negative response is always the first response. And that's something that we have to be mindful of right now, especially with this impulsive energy that's happening. Remember, Mars is also coming to Aries, dude. So, that's its home planet, so there's going to be a lot of aggregation is what I'm saying, what I'm hearing. It's more like an agitation of the surrounding areas is what they're also telling me in people's lives. You're going to notice a lot of these things happening outside of yourself, that fucking there's a lot of agitation. Collectively, people are just acting out in one way or another. You could see the impulsiveness for what it is. And that's what's important about being the observer, is what Spirit is saying, is like you can literally observe these things on a daily basis and understanding the profundity of astrology and how people are, the unknown awareness or the lack of awareness in that space on how energy influences us, even personally, is something that we have the ability to avert, kind of like realize outside of ourselves, but also take a look within and not necessarily be in a place of comparison, because that's also kind of like a mistake as well, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not here to compare ourselves to anybody, because out of 8 billion people, there's only one fucking you in this entire planet. And I think that's really special for people to understand. You know what I'm saying? To have that perspective, because then you stop comparing yourself to everybody else and what they're doing. It's great to have an idea or something to improve on an idea, because, the beauty of perfection is understanding that there's nothing to take away, only to build upon, right? And we are perfection in form, right? With divine energy in form, which is also perfection, but, our idea or ideology of perfection and what it actually is doesn't allow us to see perfection happening in the moment. And this is all about the moment. You know what I'm saying? Divine deflection is what I'm also hearing on how people get distracted rather easily when they're on the hunt or they're in the zone or they have that moment of clarity or that revelation. A lot of us don't seem to understand that in that moment we have that realization. Some of us are meant to experience that realization because of the profoundness of within, right? And that's kind of another way that we can have the ability to see when God's talking to us, or when we're meant to talk to Spirit, or when we're meant to communicate with the universe, whichever way you want to look at that, right? Because there's many pathways, there's many levels of understanding that we all have here. And, to be fair, to not address most of them, would be definitely something that would be a hindrance to people. And I don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. That's not our intention, right? So this Aries energy is basically not only purifying us, right? But it's helping us realize a lot of things that are going on in our lives that really don't matter, or that minuscule in the eyes of what is factual, what is practical, what is stable, and what is foundational in our lives. So we all have all these things that are coming together to really, really put together a strong foundation, especially with the ideas that we're having now. If you're looking to engage in, a different perspective, or engage in a different job or a different economy or a different environment, you know what I'm saying? All these things matter right now, especially with the choices that are on the table, right? A lot of us might be seeing them in our lives, that they're happening, that we're getting these opportunities. We're looking at things changing. We want to change things, right? And this is the beauty of that Aries energy. But again, if we're out of alignment or we're out of a lack of awareness, this could literally show up as, impulsivity, overreacting, over-responding, overthinking, not doing anything, trying to comfort yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because there's still a lot of planets in Pisces, and they're all transitioning over to Aries right now. So I think that's a really important thing, that we should add to the message, or that I'm adding to the message, so that way it helps people get a kind of like a brass tacks understanding of what's going on, dude. The world is shifting right underneath your feet, and you're all watching the show, right? But it's literally telling us to pay attention to ourselves in one way or another, because paying attention to ourselves is really important, because now we're actually being guided, we're being given lessons, or we're being instructed by the universe itself in one way or another to understand that we're not meant to walk the same path that others are walking. You know, I was watching a TikTok this morning about how 95% of the people, and I'm not sure what that statistic is, but 95% of the people don't know that they're connected to God, that they are the very essence of God, that they are the essence of creation in their own design, in their own right, you know, by the Creator to themselves. But it's our ego that enhances that separation, or the awareness of that separation. So here we are with examples in your daily life that happen every day to people in a way that allows you to connect with the one, the divine, spirit, God, source, your angels, ancestors, etc. You know what I'm saying? It could be deities, whatever you believe. With all due respect, you know, all paths lead to the one, you know, and we have to respect those paths, remove the biased judgment towards anybody else walking that path of righteousness, you know, or spirituality, or rite of passage, because we all come from different lineages. We all come from different ways of understanding. We have different ancestral backgrounds, and a lot of these things are coming out naturally, right? It's all coming to the surface is what Spirit is saying. So like if you're having indications of, hey, you know, things are changing, or I want to go do this, or what about this, and why am I so interested in this, and I don't understand why it's like I'm being pulled, or I'm motivated, or I'm inspired, and I'm getting pulled to those places, and I don't know why, because I don't really know shit about it, or it's just been something that I've been interested in, or possibly even from a past space when you were a teenager or growing up, that you had this fucking crazy idea, and then all of a sudden it just wasn't the right time for that idea, and now it's coming up again. These are the opportunities that we're talking about. These are the sensations that are literally coming up in people. This is the passion that is building with all this fire energy that is associated with purification as well, because it's allowed, the clarity is what's allowing us to overcome, or kind of like overlook the negative aspects of ourselves, to the point where we're actually constructive about these negative aspects, and we improve ourselves somehow. If that makes sense to you, you know what I'm saying? Take what resonates, fam. Put it in the comments. But, you know, the world is intensifying right now. This is a giant buildup. This is a show, right? But the show is destined to distract you, right? But there's a show, there's an inner show, there's an inner looking, an inner viewing, or an inner sight that you have the ability to have right now, that is not only going to allow you to free yourself from the confines or the boundaries that are created by this war, or whatever it is that you perceive outside of yourself that is limiting you somehow, whether it's finance, career. The opportunities are there, fam. But if you're kind of like emotionally disconnected in one way or another, or you like to emotionally shut yourself off, or you are extremely complacent, these things are passing you by on a daily, fam. You know what I'm saying? Because the universe is responding, the world is reacting, and it's all happening right here, right now. We have to see that aspect in ourselves of passionate drive, where we have the ability to go ahead and go forth and actually take the reins in our lives on something that we're truly passionate about, we have a lot of energy on, or we're curious about, to see where that path leads us. Because it's not like we haven't been asking for these things before on a clearer path, or a divine light, you know, or divine intervention, or some type of miracle. No, we got to work for these things, but we are the ones who are actively having to participate in the miracles that we create for not only other people, but ourselves as well. You know what I'm saying? We have to be the active participants in our lives in order to receive. You know what I'm saying? But we got to set ourselves up for the receive, no different than a radio that is allowing itself to receive the frequencies that are permeating the planet right now, to allow them to navigate their lives in a much more peaceful structure, or a peaceful awareness of what is happening to them, which a less traumatic effect, or a less dramatic effect on consciousness and your ability to receive it and connect with it, because it's the very thing that you are, you know? And let's be real here is what Spirit is saying. A lot of us don't seem to, you know, be that enthusiastic about these confirmations, but these confirmations nevertheless settle the soul. They settle the peace. They bring peace to you. They confirm things. It's your interaction with the universe that you are personally getting involved in, because a lot of relationship issues have been coming up, and everybody's like, oh, well, you know, I have a problem with this person, or I have a problem with my past, or I have a problem with an ex, and all of those things. And it's like, okay, well, what about your relationship with yourself? What about your relationship with your higher self? What is your relationship with consciousness itself and what it stands for? And are you aware of what that means, right? You know what I'm saying? This is where we don't do the homework, fam. This is where we don't have the realizations because we're just taking things for face value and not necessarily incorporating the things that we learn, right? But now, as you realize that we're in a different situation where now when you hear something or something is spoken or you speak something, that you know you will experience it in one way or another because there's a confirmation of the realization that you had, right? You know, and this is what's coming up in the collective is what Spirit is saying. It's also a newfound awareness, a newfound level of clarity, right? A lot of people are like, clarity, what the fuck does that mean? Well, it could be you could be going about your business or having a cup of coffee in the morning and then realizing, you know what, dude? I should stop paying for that subscription. I don't want to do this anymore. I've had a habit of doing this consecutively over and over and over again, and I just don't feel like it, right? But so we have a golden opportunity to see that these things are naturally shifting and we're becoming aware of these things in our lives, that we're receiving new information because this is where new ideas come from. This is where revelation comes from. This is where the exact moments that completely align in your lives allow you to have these revelations, to have you these revelations or revelations in order for you to become more pleased with the present moment or be more connected with the present moment that allows you to be more peaceful and penitive going through your day-to-day, especially in this chaotic energy that's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of decision making that needs to be had because of the clarity that we are now receiving right now. And it's time to put up or shut up. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a game anymore where you can just half-ass it or be like, oh, I do it later. Aries demands now. Okay, it's always now. And when Mars shows up, it's going to be even more intensified as to what your passion, what your place, what you have to deal with, what you're negotiating. All these things will intensify within the next upcoming weeks in one way or another in our lives. Whether we're water, fire, earth, or air, it doesn't matter. All these paths combine and they intertwine is what Spirit is saying. So it's important for you not include yourself in the collective message or in the collective energy because you are also partaking in it. And this is what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I almost feel like it's kind of hard to break the fucking barrier of realization here for people because there's not enough practice. There's not enough discipline. There's not enough giving yourself the time or the ability to focus on what really matters, dude. Because without you, there is no universe. You know what I'm saying? That you create for yourself. There's no environment. There really is no world. You're emotionally disconnected. You're emotionally soft. You cower in fear or you pop out in rage. None of those things, only those things only allow you to get back to center. Whether it was necessary or not, whether you could have controlled it or not, it doesn't matter. You're always meant to come back to the middle. And they're showing me an X. All things lead to the center. All paths lead to the center. And the center is always you. And that's what's inside of you that you're realizing is happening right now. That there's this intuitive sense that makes you curious, that makes you want to tune into things, that makes you look at things for more than what you have, to make you analyze things or actually focus on it. These are things that you can feel the more you focus on them. So that deep introspection is also associated with our feelings or whatever feelings are coming up. Except that this is actually backwards is what Spirit is saying. The emotions that are coming up are meant to be reviewed, not consumed, right? So it means you're not stuck in the past anymore. You're just, the past is up for review and you have a profound choice to choose whether you're going to continue to walk with the memories of the past that are traumatic, that are emotional, that don't serve your greatest, highest good, or you could do the latter, which is understand that there is joy even in chaos, even in what we perceive to be a curse in our lives, because we are in that unfolding. We were actually talking to a client this morning, and we were comparing what it's like to be a person here on this planet and also what it's like to be a plant on this planet. And to be honest with you, the similarities are extremely odd. You know, for somebody who hasn't focused, who doesn't study nature or doesn't look at nature or doesn't appreciate nature for what it is, we are no different than a seed that is growing inside of a dirt that is not in the dark yet, but is given the right amount of pressure, given the right amount of water, and given the right amount of nutrients to become something more. Now, when you see it from that perspective, then you realize that if you are the soil, this is your foundation. Right? This is the active body, right? That allows you to grow and ascend and become more and learn and evolve and all those beautiful things. But right now, a lot of people are in this phase, if not everybody's in this phase of trudging through the dirt right now. You know what I'm saying? Only to see the light above, to allow yourself to blossom and grow, to extend that. But I feel like the collective energy that I'm talking to right now is kind of like stuck in the mud still, not realizing that they're meant to go up, and they're trying to like grow down into the sides, but they haven't grown the right way. They need to go up. They need to go towards the light. They need to embrace the light. They need to focus on it, right? And one of the things that literally comes up to me is that, you know, basically there's a story, and I believe this is what my wife told me, is that when everybody goes to the light, when everybody goes to that transitionary space, when they pass or they ascend or they kind of like change over to another life for whatever reason, there's an opportunity to either go towards the light or see what's behind you. You know what I'm saying? And behind you is what's in the end, what was the answer in this statement. You know what I'm saying? Because we all say go towards the light. Go towards what enlightens you, not necessarily just because it's bright. You know what I'm saying? And I know this might be a computer metaphor for some people, but I think you get the fact, or get the understand the plant methodology here on how you are rising naturally into that light without having to force anything upon yourself, because the universe is creating the environment and the pressure and the nurturing and the attention and the affection and the energy in order to make you guys grow, in order to force you to grow, to come up, to continue to exist in a reality that is more palatable, that is more pleasurable, instead of what you see outside of yourself right now, right? Everybody talks about alchemy and how we manifest, but everybody doesn't necessarily understand the byproducts of what we're doing right now. And here we are discussing these things so that way people can be more informed about the decisions that they're making in their life. So to be less reactional, to be less chaotic, more balanced, to be more tuned from within instead of without, or what the mind thinks you're interpreting right now, because there's a lot of false presence. There's a lot of bad messages in that sense. You know what I'm saying? That don't lead you to where you're for the greatest highest good, you know? And we know that because of what we feel like. And we know our deeper intuition and our deeper sensitivities that are happening right now with all this fire are drumming up emotions, possibly in water signs, are making people fiery and intentional, you know, earth signs, fire signs, you know, possibly even air as well. But, you know, we all have this ability to adapt in one way or another, because you're a human being and adaptability is kind of like your birthright. Okay, you've adapted to so many things, you've created so many things, you've destroyed so many things, you've separated yourself from so many things. Well, guess what? Now it's actually time to build something that's not based on a false reality or an inauthentic self or the realization of thereafter. You know what I'm saying? So it's really a beautiful message, dude, if you actually apply the information to what is happening on a daily basis, right? Because that's where you really get to enact things. And one of the things that we discussed with this client was the beauty of the work and the confirmation of the work. Because we went from literally one physical demeanor or one energy to another, to a completely different energy 7 days later, after applying what we had discussed in the session. You know what I'm saying? So the difference is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding, and the confirmation is literally right there in your face. You do the work, it shows you the promise of that work. And it's a consistent relationship that we have to work on, because we don't know what commitment is, and we don't know what we're connected to. But the more and more we seek it from a disciplined space, from an honorable space, and not a reactive space, the more we learn and grow, right? So when we go back to the plant analogy, you realize that after discussing these things, once you break through the darkness, and you do embrace that light, because you've broken through the darkness, the way that you're intended to is not just trying to shoot straight into the light, you know, then you've created a strong foundation that allows you to learn and grow, to be more stable and aligned as you evolve in the process, instead of getting kicked over the head or feeling like you're bruised, battered, and, you know, not taken care of in one way or another, emotionally gassed, energetically depleted, consistently suffering the same thing over and over again. These are all those blind patterns that are coming up for people to see and observe, and here we are pointing them out. So that way, if this resonates with you, you have the ability to kind of like consume the information and do something about it in your life, because we're the ones who save ourselves, man. You know, I was watching the TikTok about the savior, and it's like, no. The savior is you. The savior is you. It's been within you the whole time. You're the one who's going to get you out of all the fucking problems that you got going on, because you're meant to in one way or another. And those that aren't, you're not meant to deal with or overcome in one way will just fall off, right? So don't take it personal, is what Spirit is saying. So with that being said, fam, let's start pulling on the energy and let's see what we got going for the next couple days. Yep, strength card, Leo energy. You know, I would have to say courage is probably the biggest thing here. You know what I'm saying? Not being blindly bold, but for some of you, it might take that because you haven't done it before. You know what I'm saying? Kind of holding your breath and taking a plunge anyway, which isn't really a plunge. You're basically just kind of like walking into whatever it is that you need. You're walking into the fire. You know, this is having that courage. The byproduct of having courage right now, especially in all this fire energy, is learning that you will benefit from it because now you are, and now you have the ability to pay attention to the steps that are actually laid out for you, or that you're playing out, or that you're following. It will be a confirmation of where you need to be at in one way or another, but you can tell that by the way it makes you feel. Not that you have to run from your feelings, but you have to be the observer of your feelings and pay attention to what's going on right now, because anything outside of yourself that is emotionally affecting you is a fucking distraction. You know, unless it's family, unless it's something important, unless it's a fucking of the utmost responsibility right now is what Spirit is saying. It really doesn't fucking matter. And they're even going to as far as your job, what you're there for and what you do, because that's changing too, is what they said. So for those of you who have been looking for another job or looking for employment or literally looking to move, this is an opportunity for you to understand that these things are coming if you harness the energy and you engage with where consciousness, the universe, God's source is taking you right now and following that path, right? This isn't a joke, okay? This isn't a joke, all right? This isn't a lie, because the proof is the confirmation, right? And the confirmation is right here, right now, because you don't even feel the same way that you did when we started talking. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's also important to understand, because if this has triggered you in one way or another, or has made you tingle in one way or another, then this resonates with you. It could be positive, it could be negative. It could rub you the wrong way, it could rub you the right way. Either way, it's rubbing you, and that's what you need to pay attention to, is what Spirit is saying, you know? So obviously, you know, even the words that we say here right now may cause people to overreact and over-respond in one way where they actually still receive a confirmation of that overreaction or their over-response, and understand that that is the beauty of intensity. But intensity without discipline is trash, is what they just said. You know what I'm saying? We can't be all fiery and embrace the fire and start walking with the fire because we want to be fire, and not actually have the discipline that it takes to run with it, to sit with it, to roll with it, to learn how to fucking manipulate it, learn what it does for you, learn what the fire teaches you, right? You know, a lot of us don't understand how these things work, and the beauty of the elements, there's a profound life lesson in everything, if not a metaphor, fam, you know? And I think that's also important to understand, that the embodiment of Christ, the embodiment of Source, the embodiment of consciousness itself is your birthright, and it's something that you're meant to do. Regardless of how spacey you may think that fucking is, regardless of how it bashes something that you fucking wholeheartedly believed in up until the point where the universe said, look, okay, it's not you anymore. You've grown out of this. You've changed. Your perspectives on the past aren't even the same anymore. And this is what we're all trying to show you, is what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? And I almost feel like a lot of people are looking at a gift horse of mouth, because I have the Six of Wands in reverse. You know what I'm saying? Right next to the Ace of Cups. It's all about that fucking emotional value and that courage and strength to plug on or continue or do something new, do something intentional, do something passionate and intentional, you know? Like, really, this is kind of like break free opportunity, is what Spirit is saying here. You have the opportunity to break free of any confines or any constructs that are available to you. Not only that, propel yourself into a place of succession where you succeed instead of consistently seem to fail, right? I think I got one more message for you guys here today, fam. You know, keep in mind that this message will carry over for the next couple of days, because everything is in a transitionary state, type of hallway, void moon. You know, it feels like it's too quiet, or there's nothing really happening right now. All those things they're all changing in the background. You know what I'm saying? So don't let your intuition fool you, or what you perceive your intuition to be, because a lot of the feelings that are happening right now might be undisciplined, uncommitted, and uncontrolled. And we might be assuming what we are receiving, not necessarily realizing that what we are receiving is meant to be taken a completely different way, right? And this is what grounding is all about. And this is why we push foundational energy and understanding your foundation, energy healing 101, sound healing 101, to understand where this starts with energy, frequency, sound, vibration, how it affects you, how it affects your thoughts, how you intuitively pick up on these things, what we are receiving and what we are transmitting, and how it interacts with our physical environment. All those things, I believe, is really important, and this is going to be a divine lesson for many, is what's being said here. You know? So don't think that you're just literally going to cave back into your shells and be able to figure this out. No, you're going to have to figure it out on the fly, as you do, as you work, as you go. A lot of you are going to be asked to do even more things than you've been done before. And for some of you, you're already doing those things and you understand the beauty of intensity, but also the responsibility and the discipline that it takes to carry this intensity to be able to manifest your dreams, your goals, and your desires that are happening to a lot of people right now. This isn't a time to cower in fear. The strength was here. You know what I'm saying? But the Hermit in reverse literally tells me that it's like, hey, don't back down now. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to go, you got to go all in. But don't be stupid about what it is that you're going to go all in, and maybe focus on the facts. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily the how, but what are the possibilities of you being able to carry these things into this next step in your life, or this shift that is happening right now. Yeah, you're not in despair is what I hear. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if this is personal, you know, and because I feel like this is more personal for somebody in here or somebody that's listening. You're not in despair. Despair is an illusion right now, but you could be suffering from what seems to be a past reinventing itself, only to kind of like screw you in the process right now, is what I'm also hearing with this, with the Five of Pentacles. We are never left out in the cold, fam. Half the time we leave ourselves out in the fucking cold because we decide to escape, or we decide to run from issues that we don't know that the good God is fucking literally presenting us to us. So that way we can overcome it to be the person that we're meant to be, because we ask for that release. We ask for that understanding. We ask for the intuition. We ask for a new perspective. We ask for clarity and wisdom, or we ask for compassion. You know what I'm saying? Because even compassion is a teacher, because you have to slow things down in order to appreciate them, in order to give compassion, in order to savor the moment. So either way that you hit this, regardless of what modality that you hit it with, you're beginning to nurture that plant to come out of the soil, to break free from the cycles, is what Spirit's saying here, to allow yourself to grow incrementally, because that's what we're all meant to do. We're meant to be, right? Bro, you can't make this shit up, man. You know what I'm saying? Wheel of Fortune, momentum, karmic cycles ending. You're done with something. We're in the 4th quarter moon. This is about release, reintegration, and rebirth. You know what I'm saying? In one way or another, right? New moon, new you, right? We say rebirth all the time, but there are many cycles of rebirth that we undergo. So if you're tired of hearing it and you can't necessarily see it, then it might be your approach of how you're seeing it that is not allowing you to embrace it, right? In everything, God is confirmation, is what they just said. And if you allow yourself to experience the confirmations, then you will allow yourself to learn and grow more. You will allow yourself to embrace these further knowings and further teachings, or further awareness or lessons that you may or may not that you may receive because of the time that we're in right now. And they're mentioning the 7 planet stellium. You know, Mars already showed up, and it's only a matter of time before Mercury crosses Pisces, and then we're going to have 7 planets in Aries. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to harness the intensity and the awareness and the gifts that God has created before us, because now is the time? Or are you going to sit on your ass and wait? Or are you going to literally forget about it and just move on and do something different? Something that makes you feel more comfortable and safe, you know, that makes more sense because you need money or you need this and that. If you follow in God's desire, or the desire of God, or the desire within you that is literally showing you what God is in one way or another, then you have the beauty of promise, which also God is promise, not only confirmation, but also promise. So not only the promise, but once you receive the promise and you go and you take that, or you engage in something different, or what you feel compelled to do, then the confirmation will come to show you that you are on the right path, and it'll show up with grace. It'll show up with revelation. It'll show up with understanding. And this is how the process grows, right, fam? But hiding from it is not an option. You can't hide from this, is what Spirit is saying. It's all unfolding in your lives in one way, it's collectively. You notice, in one way or another, you're all picking up on these things, and turning a blind eye to it is probably not the best idea. You know, right now, this is the check the price or pay attention energy, is what I'm getting here. They really want you to focus on your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, and your desires, where you feel like you will succeed. Because a lot of these things are literally being bottle fed to us right now. They're being given to us. Some of us need to just walk outside that door or get out of that hermit mode to engage in it, to see it for what it is. Because literally they're showing me, you walk out into the street and God's promise is right there before your eyes in one way or another. And if you could stand still long enough to see the confirmation happen, as you gaze your eyes upon it, then you know that this is something special because it resonates with you in one way or another. It excites you, something you become more curious about, right? But it's enough of the brain scatter. And if there's enough brain scatter in the environment to literally kind of like distort or distract people consistently in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? Again, we said that the wheel turns in our favor when we favor the wheel that we're turning, right? Which is we are that wheel. We are that momentum. We are that motivation and inspiration. And, you know, if it's a time for wish fulfillment in your life, dude, understand that there has to be something enacted to bring that promise forward. It's like they show me a lot of ships coming in for people, you know, or a lot of opportunities coming for people where they could see the divine light from within. They're receiving information, they're receiving indication, you know, now they're looking for, you know, but there's no confirmation because we're not necessarily focused on those things because we don't know any better. We don't practice, we don't commit. We're inaccountable for our sensitivities, empaths, healers, psychics, mediums. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. The list goes on, dude. If you're in a practice, you're promoting some type of spiritual practice, or you consider yourself to be a spiritual person, which means you embody the life that spirituality represents instead of a religion or an enactment of something or a reenactment of something that is happening in our lives right now, because our belief systems are causing that pattern to repeat itself in one way or another. This is also kind of like the back door of people realizing that, hey, you're meant to go left, not right. You're meant to stop and not go anywhere, because left or right is not an option at the moment. And this is the beauty of the present moment, because this is also associated with our decision making and our ability to make a good decision, right? So let's close this out, fam. Let's close this out and see what the advice is, right? Yep. Heartache makes the brain ache is what I hear with this Three of Swords. You know what I'm saying? So there's a strong focus on emotions, releasing the past. You know, if these things are topics in your fucking life right now. Now, I'm not talking about excessive healing or, you know, an over pursuit of healing because you've been healing for so long. I feel like these emotions are coming up to surface and showing you exactly what they are and asking you what you're going to do with it right now. There's a high responsibility behind this card right now, because we understand that our misdirection or a misalignment with an energy or a manifestation is only going to cause chaos and destruction. It's only going to cause suffering in our lives in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? So that's the beauty of alignment, is understanding that when you're in flow, adversity is something that you face, but you face it from a place of awareness, groundedness, and clarity. And you learn how to navigate those issues from that space instead of going into the survival instincts. Fuck that, I gotta run. I'm going away. I can't take this shit. I'm gonna have another drink. I'm gonna have another smoke. You know what I'm saying? And overstimulating yourself and literally running to those fucking patterns that literally kept you safe for so long and help you navigate the bullshit. These things are no longer available, fam. So these things are actually we're being detoxified right now. Okay? Energetically, spiritually, mentally, physically, right? In one way or another, we're all being kind of cleaned up, dude. It's the spring. It's spring cleaning. Are you not surprised? We embrace the environment. We, the natural beings of this planet that we are, know that these environments and these seasonal changes and these monthly cycles and these planetary objects literally affect us on a daily basis. This is part of our spiritual self. This is that spiritual lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a lifestyle. You have to live it and experience it, because you're all sensitive for a reason, is what Spirit just said. And that sensitivity is enlightenment. It's not a hindrance. It's not a curse. It's not an object. It's not a thing. It's happening right now within you. It's a flow. It's a movement. It is a spiral. It is a circle. It is a sphere. Okay? It is nothing linear. So you're not going to get to point A to point B. The only way to get point A and B is to go around. You know what I'm saying? Is to embrace the spiral and allow the spiral to turn in your favor. You know what I'm saying? Like it always does, which is what they say, what comes around goes around, is a profound law of the universe that everybody kind of like swept under the rug, not realizing that these things are real and that they do happen, and they're happening to us right now. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this message. Much love to each and every one of you. If you would like a reading like this, we have Soul Counsel available. You can sign up for a Soul Counsel session. If you have any questions about our services, please reach out to us.